I was absolutely delighted when I was approached by Dallan Basu of the British Computer Society to speak to you today and share with you a great passion of mine, artificial intelligence and ethics. But first, a little bit about me. My name is Colin Bradley. I've spent 20 plus years in the technology sector here in the UK and Ireland, and I previously worked with Lehman Brothers and spent 10 years as a VP in Citigroup's Architecture and Engineering department. I'm currently in gainful employment with Dell Technologies as a field CTO, where I get to do all the interesting stuff, investigating blockchain, quantum computers, and ethical AI. And I'm very lucky to be in the position where I can get out of bed in the morning and really look forward to the day ahead. So before we begin, a few disclaimers. I am not an expert in AI. I was told a long time ago that an expert is someone who knows more and more about less and less until they know everything about nothing. I'm not an ethicist, but I am a geek, and I'm afraid to say I'm not very good at PowerPoint, so please excuse the appearance of some of these slides. So the discussion topics for today. What is artificial intelligence? Let's get a level set where we define clearly what artificial intelligence is. What are the challenges of AI? And can we build a fairer AI for our society? So what is artificial intelligence? Typically, when I present this to a live audience, I ask that question. I ask, what is artificial intelligence? What does it mean to you? How do you define artificial intelligence? And I can guarantee I will get many different answers. But let's start with a definition which is reasonably accurate, the one from Wikipedia. Wikipedia defines artificial intelligence as, in computer science, artificial intelligence, sometimes called machine learning, is intelligence demonstrated by machines, in contrast to natural intelligence displayed by humans. We could go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, which states that artificial intelligence is the ability of a digital computer or computer-controlled robot to perform tasks commonly associated with intelligent beings. Intelligent beings being those that can adapt easily to their changing circumstances. So, are there different types of artificial intelligence? The answer is yes, and depending on the classification or the source being referenced, there could be up to 7. But for the purposes of today, we can say that AI generally falls into 3 buckets. Strong AI, so systems that we can build that think exactly like humans do. This is sometimes called general intelligence. We're not quite there yet, and it's still a little way off. But for those of you who are sci-fi fans, think about the Terminator series, Skynet, an entity which is fully cognizant of human thought and is actually coming to kill us. But we're not there quite yet. Then we look at something like weak AI, which we have today. So we're getting systems to work without figuring out really how human reasoning is working. So think of Alexa, Google Assistant, Siri. Most AI systems today have a very narrow band intelligence. Your driverless vehicle is not going to come into the house and make a cup of tea for you. And finally, the third one, which is human reasoning being used as a model, but not necessarily the end goal. So AI being used in mortgage applications or insurance, etc. When we think about what AI is good at, well, it's good at a lot of stuff really, and it's getting better, but it's still really narrow. So when we look at reading and writing, automated journalism, AI is capable of producing small news articles between 150 and 300 words. Speaking and listening, Alexa, Google Home, and looking at things. Google AI for breast cancer detection beats doctors. Not limited to just breast cancer, but AI has been shown to detect cancerous cells from images quicker and more accurate than doctors. There is still, however, a human involved in the process. AI is really good at integrating knowledge. Think of driverless vehicles, the collection and processing and determination of environmental stimuli to produce a result. So all the things that we do in the service industry, when you can see AI is good at, when you consider that 80% of the developed world works in the service industry, AI will have a massive impact on people's futures. If you have some time after this presentation, please go and check out Google Duplex and Google Duplex AI booking a hair appointment for a customer. It is truly remarkable. I mentioned here the point, is it safe to go swimming? We'll take a quick look at how AI is really good at image detection, more so than ourselves. So I also asked the question to the audience, do you come across AI in daily life? Hopefully most people will put their hands up, but we encounter AI on a daily basis. How often do we use it? Practically every hour of every day. From social media to digital assistants, self-driving and parking vehicles, with email communications, web surfing, stores and services, and offline experiences. Does AI improve your social media experience? Absolutely. When you think about what the function of AI in social media, it is truly wonderful. With Twitter promoting tweet recommendations, fighting abusive content. They use a neural network to understand user preferences. Facebook uses deep learning to derive value from users who are updating their status 300 times a minute. 300,000 times a minute, excuse me. Instagram uses AI and big data and data analytics to fight cyberbullying and target advertising at its users. And chatbots recognize words and phrases in order to hopefully deliver helpful content to customers who have common questions. So what would happen if social media organizations stopped AI to personalize your experience? Do you think your user experience would go up, or do you think your user experience would go down? That's just a question for you to ponder. So, AI is a positive force. So let's look at the way AI is adding value to our lives. In healthcare, we've already looked at how AI is helping identify cancers in patients, more quickly and more accurately than the doctor. It helps in predicting the outbreak of disease. It assists doctors. And more recently and topically, Oxford-based Exoscientia are the first to put an AI-discovered drug into human trial. It trawling through 15,000 drugs held by the Scripps Research Institute in California in order to identify a treatment for the coronavirus. When we look at finance, we see how robo-advisors allow segments of a community to gain access to banking services and finances, even if they lack a credit history or proof of address. Banking really has, with the advent of chatbots, become a 24/7 by 52 banking. AI helps in risk management and security of banks. In education, AI programs can alter the student's learning outcomes dramatically by understanding the learning needs of that student, so AI can modify and tailor the curriculum for that student. In security and social, facial recognition technology for identifying people of interest or cataloging your photos by name. And driverless vehicles can potentially reduce traffic congestion by 35% from a University of Cambridge study. Remove the human from dangerous environments. And when you think that pilots spend less than 7 minutes with hands-on controls in commercial aircraft, it is AI which is helping us traverse the globe. This slide gives us a great example of why artificial intelligence is sometimes really hard to define, because it's a collection of things. It's a collection of different technologies, different disciplines, which go together to make up the wider general area of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence was first coined by Professor John McCarthy in 1956 at Dartmouth College. Even though humans are pattern recognition machines, I like to have some fun with audiences. Out of all these pictures, only one of these is a dolphin. Could you safely determine which one of these pictures is a dolphin? The rest are sharks. It's actually this one. Even with human instincts, it's very, very difficult when confronted with a lot of data to select the right option. An AI would be able to do this much more quickly than a human would. So moving along to AI challenges. The first challenge is, how do we ensure that AI is fair? Co-Professor Alan Winfield from the Robotics Department of Bristol University, the so-called Fourth Industrial Revolution and its economic and societal implications is no longer an academic concern, but has become a matter for political as well as public debate. You only need to look at the news to see how concerns with regards to artificial intelligence have become increasingly high profile over the past number of years. Amazon has come under heavy criticism for selling its facial recognition tool to law enforcement. Google disbanded its AI ethics board after just 2 weeks, and it was revealed that Microsoft was working with a Chinese military-run university on an AI that could be used for censorship and surveillance. Let's take a closer look at one of these examples which is used today in the US justice system. The MIT Technology Review in January 2019 published an article which headlined, "AI Sending People to Jail and Getting It Wrong." In the US, at the end of 2016, 2.2 million adults were being held in prisons or jails, with a further 4.5 million people being held in some form of correctional facilities. Needless to say, the criminal justice system in the US was under immense stress. So they looked to technology, artificial intelligence technology, in order to assist them with this. Enter the criminal risk assessment algorithms. The criminal risk assessment algorithms look at data points from a defendant's historic past in order to make a determination on their likelihood to reoffend. It spits out a score, a high score meaning that a defendant is more likely to reoffend, a low score meaning that a defendant is less likely to reoffend. The difficulty is that populations that have historically been disproportionately targeted by law enforcement, so those from low-income or minority communities, are at risk of being slapped with a high score. The result is that these algorithms could amplify or perpetuate embedded biases and even generate even more bias-tainted data to feed a vicious cycle. Because most risk assessment algorithms are proprietary, it's impossible to interrogate their decisions or to hold them accountable. Just a really simple way in which we can see some of these biases taking place in everyday life is Google Doctor and look at images. What do you recognize? Or do Google Homeowner and look at Google images and what do you recognize? While these are very simplistic examples, it gives you a thought for the underlying data set which Google is drawing upon in order to make these recommendations. Another challenge that AI faces is whether or not it is right to deceive people, either intentionally or unintentionally, that AI is somewhat human. After all, behind all this AI is just some code that someone has written. The Consumer Electronics Show in 2019 showcased a number of AI robots that were specifically designed towards children. While there is nothing new, there is increasing concern around the ethics behind a children's toy trying to be more than what it is. How do we ensure that the use of AI by corporations is fair? And what ethics base should they use? The case for someone pretending to be someone they're not has been around for a long time, con artists, etc. And there's laws to prevent against that. Should AI be approached in the same way? The final point I'll make is about what is the social impact of AI. As we pursue a driverless vehicle, which is more efficient, which is better than ever before, we are faced with this ethical challenge. Who do we save? Do we save the child, A, or do we save the older lady, B? You can go to MIT's website and look for the moral machine, where you're taken through a number of these pictures where you get to decide who you save, with ever increasing ethical conundrums. But this is just one aspect to the development of driverless vehicles. What happens when driverless vehicles become commonplace? The motorways of our country are transformed. What is the impact to society, to the livelihoods of people who drive something for a living? One only has to look at the map of the US to see this will have a massive impact on the livelihoods and income of many families across the country. and this is replicated in the UK. The average age of a HGV driver, a heavy goods driver, in the UK is 53. What happens to those people who are under threat from driverless vehicles? And this graph produced by Eric Grushin for preparing US workers and employers for an autonomous vehicle future in 2018 shows that there's great uncertainty over the actual impact that autonomous vehicles will have. The key thing here is that there is no doubt that AI will have a positive impact on people's lives, but there are some concerns, some societal concerns, some cultural concerns that we really need to address. What ethics base are these AIs going to use? And will that ethics base be in line with our own? Should every AI have an ethical black box that it carries with them? So when things do go wrong, we can stop, check and examine why it made the decision. And use that to improve AIs in the future. I will leave you with just two final quotes from Professor Stephen Hawking and Rodney Brooks. They really give two sides of the argument. Stephen Hawking was quoted as saying, "The genie is out of the bottle and we need to move forward on artificial intelligence development, but we also need to be mindful of its very real dangers. I fear that AI may replace humans altogether. If people design computer viruses, someone will design AI that replicates itself. This will be a new form of life that will outperform humans." Rodney Brooks took the opposite view. He is quoted by Bichaya Kaku as saying, "But on the question of whether robots will eventually take over, this probably will not happen for a variety of reasons. First, no one is going to accidentally build a robot that wants to rule the world." He says that creating a robot that can suddenly take over is like someone accidentally building a 747 jetliner. Plus, there will be plenty of time to stop this from happening. Before someone builds a super bad robot, someone has to build a mildly bad robot, and then before that, a not so bad robot. I do sincerely hope you enjoyed this brief discussion on artificial intelligence today and ethics, and I thank you for your time.